Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Priya, and today I'm talking about something that's been eating away at me for weeks now. So basically, you know how it is when you're growing up and your parents are all like, we're doing this, we're doing that, and then suddenly they're like, oh, we're not really going to do this after all. Yeah, that happened with my childhood home. I'm 25 now, and for years I thought my family was all about me. We had our ups and downs, but I always felt loved. Okay, so, my parents are Brody and Wilder. They're the kind of people who always seem to be smiling, even when things are tough. They're like that famous saying, when life gives you lemons, make lemonade, or whatever. Anyway, they've always been super supportive of me, and I thought we were all on the same page. But one day, everything changed. So basically, my parents told me that they had sold our childhood home, the one where I grew up, went to school, made all my memories, without even asking me if it was okay first. Can you believe that? Like, what kind of family does that? They just showed up at my doorstep and were like, hey kiddo, we sold your house, like it's no big deal. No explanation, no nothing. I'm not even joking when I say that I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. My whole life, that house was everything to me. It was where I grew up, where my friends and I would explore, where my parents would take family vacations, it was just our thing. And now it's gone. Like, what am I supposed to do with that? I tried to stay calm and ask them why they didn't tell me, but of course, that just led to more questions. Brody kept saying, we thought you'd want us to get a new house, or something like that, but honestly, it felt like he was trying to make excuses rather than owning up to the fact that they made some huge mistake. Wilder, on the other hand, seemed really nervous and guilty all of a sudden. She kept saying, we didn't mean to hurt you, Priya, over and over again, but I just couldn't process what was happening. Like, why would they do something so reckless without even considering how it would affect me? And then there's the kicker, which is that my parents have been using the money from the sale to buy themselves gifts. Yeah, I'm not even joking. They showed me this big stack of cash and were like, see, we got you a house. And I was just standing there, thinking, what? You used our childhood home as collateral for your own shopping spree? It's just so unbelievable. That's where things are at right now. I'm still trying to wrap my head around everything that happened. I've been feeling pretty angry and hurt, but also, curious. Like, what else have they been keeping from me all these years? Is there something bigger going on here? I don't know, guys, maybe I'll figure it out as we go along. But for now, I just need to process this whole thing and try to make sense of it all. Wish me luck. So I'm sitting in my new home, which is basically a friend's house that they let me crash on for the time being. It's not ideal, but it's better than sleeping on the streets or something. And honestly, who needs a roof over their head anyway? I mean, my parents are living large off the money from our childhood home. I've been trying to do some research and dig up more information about what happened. It turns out that my parents have been using the money to invest in all sorts of questionable schemes. They were talking about some kind of real estate flip venture with this guy Wilder, who's supposed to be some kind of expert. I've looked him up online, and let me tell you, he's got a shady past. Like, he's been involved in several high-profile scams and has even been sued by multiple people. But that's not the worst part. My parents were also talking about using some of the money to invest in Wilder's own business ventures. Apparently, they've already sunk a pretty significant chunk into this one venture called EcoCycle. I don't know what it is, but from what I can gather, it's just a fancy way of saying they're trying to make a quick buck off old trash cans. I'm starting to feel like I'm living in some kind of bad dream. My parents are supposed to be my heroes, not these greedy, scheme-obsessed monsters. And Wilder, he's like the ultimate enabler. He's always smiling and making promises, but at the end of the day, it's just a bunch of empty words. I'm trying to stay calm and gather more information, but it's hard when all I can think about is how they used our childhood home as collateral for their own selfish desires. It feels like they're playing some kind of twisted game with me, leaving me with nothing but the scraps from their table. I just got a call from Priya, my sister, and she sounds really upset. Apparently, Wilder showed her one of his business plans, and she thinks it's some kind of Ponzi scheme. I need to talk to her and get more details, but I'm not sure if I can trust what she's saying. Can I really believe that our parents are involved in something this shady? And what does it all mean for me? I don't know where this is going, but I know one thing, I need to take action. I need to figure out what Wilder and my parents are up to, and then I need to do something about it. But first, I need to find a way to get to the bottom of things without getting too caught up in emotions. I'm trying to keep an open mind, but it's hard not to feel like I've been punched in the gut when I think about our childhood home being used as collateral. What really got my attention was Priya's mention that Wilder is supposedly a successful businessman now. Successful? That sounds like something he'd come up with if he wanted to convince me and my sister that everything is okay. I've been trying to think of ways to get more information, but it's not easy when your parents are involved in something so shady. They're experts at hiding the truth from us, especially when it comes to things like this. I need to find a way to talk to Priya without getting too emotional, or she might just tell me what she wants me to hear instead of what really happened. I decided to meet up with her at that coffee shop we used to go to all the time when we were kids. We sat down at our usual table by the window and I started asking her about Wilder's business plan. She told me it was some kind of investment scheme, where he promised us a guaranteed return on our investments if they put in enough money. I don't know much about business, but that sounds like a scam to me. Priya said she saw the documents and that there were all these red flags everywhere. He's supposed to be investing our savings into some kind of project, but Priya thinks it's just a cover for him to take out loans against our property. And if I'm not careful, he could lose everything, including our childhood home. I couldn't believe what she was saying. Our childhood home. It felt like that was the least of my worries right now. But as I looked at Priya, I saw the worry and fear in her eyes. This wasn't just some wild conspiracy theory, this was our family's reputation on the line. Things are getting complicated fast. My mind is racing with questions. What did Wilder tell us? How much money do we have left? And what does it mean for my future if we don't get to the bottom of things? I know one thing for sure, I'm not going to just sit back and wait for something to happen. It's time for me to take action, but where do I even start? I took a deep breath and tried to calm myself down, but my eyes kept darting around the room as if searching for answers that weren't there. Priya's words were like a knife twisting in my gut. It couldn't be true. Our family would never do something like this without us knowing. Okay, I need you to tell me everything, I said firmly, trying to sound calmer than I felt. What did Wilder say? What's going on with the money? Priya nodded, her eyes brimming with tears as she recounted every detail of the conversation she had with Wilder earlier that day. According to her, Wilder had told them about the sale of our childhood home and how he had been instructed to use the proceeds from the sale to buy gifts for everyone in the family. But why didn't we know? I demanded, feeling a sense of betrayal wash over me. Why did they keep this from us? Priya shrugged, her voice trembling. I don't know, but it sounds like they were trying to keep things under wraps. Wilder said he was told that it was for personal reasons and that we shouldn't ask any questions. That's when it hit me, our family's actions didn't just raise suspicions about their motives, they also made me wonder what else they might be hiding from us. I felt a shiver run down my spine as I realized that our childhood home, the one place where we had all shared so many memories, was now gone, and it was all because of some mysterious transaction involving loans and gifts. I stood up, feeling like I needed to get out of there and clear my head. We need to talk to Wilder, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. And we need to find out what's going on with that money. Priya nodded in agreement, her face pale with worry. Together, we made our way to the living room where Wilder was sitting, looking like he'd just seen a ghost. What is it? He asked, sensing the tension between us. It's about the sale of the house, I said, trying to keep my anger in check. Priya told me that you sold it and used the money to buy gifts for everyone. Wilder looked taken aback, but not surprised. I knew this was going to be a tough conversation to have, he said, rubbing his temples like he had a headache. What did you tell Priya? I asked, my voice rising in anger. I told her that it was for personal reasons, Wilder replied, avoiding eye contact with me. That's all I'm saying. I felt a surge of frustration at his evasive behavior, but before I could say anything else, the doorbell rang. It was our neighbor, Mrs. Johnson, who had stopped by to check on us. Hello, dear, she said, her eyes scanning our faces. I saw you all looking upset and thought I'd drop by to see if everything is okay. But before we could even begin to explain ourselves, my phone started ringing, a text message from an unknown number that read, "You're not who your family says you are." I stared at the screen, my heart racing as I tried to process what I was seeing. The words seemed to leap off the screen and land in my stomach like a cold stone. Who had sent this message? And how did they know? Wilder's eyes met mine, and for a moment, we just looked at each other, both of us thinking the same thing, that our whole world had been turned upside down. Get it, I said finally, holding out my phone to Brody. He took it from me, his face pale as he scrolled through the message, which led to another, and another, until we were drowning in a sea of revelations. It started with something small, a birth certificate that didn't quite add up, a passport photo that didn't match anyone I knew. But as we dug deeper, it became clear that our entire family history had been fabricated. I felt like I was living in a dream, one that had suddenly and irrevocably shattered. My parents, my grandparents, all of them were strangers to me now. The memories I thought were mine. Just someone else's imagination. We spent the rest of the day trying to make sense of it all, but the more we uncovered, the more questions there seemed to be. Who had created this new identity for me? And why? As the sun set and the night drew in, we sat around a table that suddenly felt like a prison cell. We talked and cried and wondered, our voices hoarse from shouting at each other. And then, Wilder spoke up. We need to tell Priya, he said finally, his voice barely above a whisper. She deserves the truth. I nodded in agreement, feeling a sense of resolve wash over me. It wouldn't be easy, but we had to be honest with her. She deserved it. The next few hours were some of the hardest I'd ever faced. We told Priya everything, our family's deception, their betrayal. Her eyes went wide as she listened, and for a moment, I thought I saw tears well up in them. But then something unexpected happened. A small smile crept onto her face, followed by a laugh that was equal parts sad and relieved. "Well," she said finally, "I guess this changes everything." As we hugged her tight, trying to comfort her through all of this, it hit me, our family's secrets had been weighing us down for years, holding us back from living our true lives. And honestly, I still think about it, about the fragility of identity and how quickly it can be torn apart. Let me know what you would have done if you were in my shoes.